thank you so much. And this last presentation, I really like it because it was multi-technology approach. And you're totally right, you need multi-technologies for a digital twin, but each of these technologies finally must be digital twin ready. So you must be able to have a digital twin of this single technology. And today what I'm talking about is about acoustic emission. And acoustic emission has some, let's say, specialities, some caveats, because it's very high frequency compared to vibration or other technologies, because we talk here about kilohertz, up to 100 kilohertz of signals. Yeah, so that means you have often 100 mega or 1 megahertz, 2 megahertz sample rates. So that's really difficult to bring this high frequency into a large scale simulation. Today I present the development of a digital twin for the simulation of acoustic emission wave propagation in pre-stressed concrete elements. So that's the focus for today. The object of the project is the fusion of simulation and structure acquired data in a single database, enabling the direct comparison and joint visualization and data analytics of acoustic emission signals on bridges especially. My name is Horst Trattnig. I'm from the company Vallen Systeme, and together with BAM, which is the Federal Institute for Material Research in Germany, and a Swiss-based company called Mondyke, we present this project, and we collaborated the last years, and it's still running until the end of this year. So, next step. Bridges, we need them because we have to gap streets, everything that you can think of. But pre-stressed bridges are used everywhere. And everywhere means in the big economies, here in the US, for example, about 41% of the bridges are pre-stressed concrete bridges. So it's relevant. It's the same in Germany. We have there also around about 40% pre-stressed concrete bridges, and the same also in Japan. So it's really a relevant technology, these pre-stressed concrete bridges. And just in Germany, to have an idea, we installed in the last few years more than 50 bridges with just acoustic emission for wire break detection. So that's really, for Germany, a small country, at the end, it's a big number. Bridges basically are designed to last for 80 to 100 years. But since the unexpected collapse of the Corolla Bridge in Dresden, I think most of you know about this, the weaknesses of this approach, let's say 60, 70 years ago, is obvious, because pre-stressed concrete bridges were built, for example, in the 1950s, 1960s, and the lack of experience in the early days of this technology was because of underestimate of traffic and temperature load. They don't expect it, these high temperature loads because of climate change, these high loads because of the trucks and everything. So that's a big issue, because they are basically not designed for these loads. Also, problems with groutings, joints, and ceilings are popped up in the last years. Stress corrosion cracking is a big topic. And the insufficient non-tensioned reinforcement is also one of the, let's say, weak points that bridge engineers figured out in the last years, that this really makes troubles. So, the only reliable and efficient method, that's what we figured out also in Germany, let's say, is acoustic emission testing for wire break detection. It enhances warning prior of failure, because like in Dresden, the bridge just broke down. There was no warning. It was under investigation. Many bridge engineers did their work there. They did a great work, but it was just simply a failure without warning. That's why in Germany, already in 2024, the German Society of Non-Destructive Testing released in 2024 a guideline for the detection of wire breaks with acoustic emission. In this first framework, which is established now in Germany, they address owners of the bridge, which is important. They address the providers, of monitoring, operators, engineering companies, so all the parties that are involved in monitoring of this type of assets. Yeah. So, and finally, it provides a detailed instruction for tendering, because it's important to understand, okay, an owner doesn't know anything about acoustic emission monitoring. So they need a guideline to really develop a tender where they definitely get an acoustic emission system and not something else. To optimize the process for monitoring, to reduce the costs of monitoring and to increase the reliability of the data analysis, we started a project called SimAS. We, that means BAM, under the lead of Stefan Piskewitz, Mondijk, and our company, Vallen Systeme. BAM, in principle, is the expert for the application and also for acoustic emission in civil engineering. That's why this part was very important for us, that BAM leads the project and knows exactly what is needed in the field. Mondijk is the expert for cross-scale simulation and imaging of sound propagation. I know we talk always about finite element simulation and so on, but here we talk really about large scale, and they have a special technology to simulate on large scale. And we, Vallen Systeme, we're the expert for acoustic emission sensors, data acquisition systems. So let's say the real world data that you need to get a picture of what is going on in the bridge with the perspective of acoustic emission. What we developed under the lead of Stefan Piskewitz was a 6-step procedure to get a digital twin with this scope. Step 1 is structural analytics or analysis. You're all in the analysis of these structures, and you know documents are often not updated, photos are very old, often incomplete. You know, that's definitely an issue. They are sometimes of low quality, so you can't really see the details, what is going on there. And what you also sometimes have to do is some NDT methods, some NDT on-site, to get really a first picture of the asset, of the bridge. The second step is the 3D modeling, really to get a digital twin of a bridge. You have to understand you have different shapes, different sizes. You can see here's the cross sections. For example, they are different, and this is very time consuming. So it's expensive at the end for the owner to get all these models. That's why at BAM they developed a wizard to make a 3D modeling, which goes quick and easy to get a first draft of it. So you select in this wizard first, you select which type of cross section you have. Then you simply go into the wizard, and you can see here in the video, you have a few parameters to change the size, to change the dimension, and to, let's say, build a 3D model, which you then can export and which is the base for the next step. That means for the meshing. Meshing, you all know how this works. Based on the 3D model, you generate this, the mesh from the previous steps, and then you add the mapping for the material, if it's concrete, if it's steel, whatever material you have. And you define also already the positions of the sensor, of the acoustic emission sensors, for example. That's the input for the simulation finally. And the size of the mesh element also defines the efficiency. That means how fast you can simulate this large scale, this large scale structure. Simulation. The simulation calculates the wave propagation and displacement magnitude on the concrete block, because acoustic emission wave, they propagate through the material on the surface of the concrete, in the concrete, and that must be simulated in a very good way. Usually, to do this, we simulate rebound hammer impacts, and that looks like this. You have seen the impact hammer, and here in the simulation, you have a few different views. you see how the waves, after having this impact of the rebound hammer, how they propagate. You can see on the right-hand side the two views. One is about 1 meter height, the other one is 5 meter width. So that's how they are propagating. And the green dots on this simulation, these are the definitions of the acoustic emission sensors. So you've done the simulation. And in the next step, to, let's say, calibrate the model, you need to do real-world measurements. Because the real world is always a little bit different, and the simulation, it needs some more input to get really, let's say, results which are close to what the reality shows. With acoustic emission, that includes the measurement of the acoustic emission background noise on the bridge, if you have traffic and all of these background noises that are coming from different sources. You also acquire data from, for example, from the artificial source, a rebound hammer. So you also get data from this. And you also extract wires. I'm not sure if this is very common here in the US, but in Germany, they usually also open the bridge in one position. Then they cut out a few of these pre-stressed wires. And at the same time, they have acoustic emission sensors around this area and acquire this fingerprint of this breaking or this cutted, let's say, wire. That's very typical, and that's also how they define it in the guideline, in the German guideline. They also, most of the time, they use this part that they cut out to go into the lab and make some analysis on the material and on the behavior of the material. But that's the typical procedure for the real world data that you need to calibrate the model. And in the last step, you have to fuse the data, because finally, if you have two words with two different file formats and everything, you just can compare it. And that's not a digital twin. So you have to bring this data into one database. We use here a database format that acoustic emission is anyways using. We feed in the data of the real world and the simulation data in one database format, and then we can use the tool chain that we already use today to analyze the data, to visualize the data, and to characterize the parameters of the structure for acoustic emission. And what you can see here is on the top side, it's the real data. You can see in the time domain, you can see the arrival times approximately, and you see there is more high frequency content in this data because, I'll show it. You can see it here, if you look here. There is more high frequency content in the signals. At the simulation data, it's more low frequency content, but that's because at the moment, the simulation can cover up to 30 kilohertz. That's, let's say that the trade-off at the moment, we have to improve this to have more high frequency content as well. But the good thing is the arrival times are already very close to what we get from the real world data. And that's the first step to really correlate simulation and real world data. And why we are doing this? Because the next step, forward looking, we want to have for sure the forward simulation. That means you have like a rebound hammer or wire break, you you simulate this from the source and you check if the sensors are picking up a similar signal like the acoustic emission sensors from the real world. But on the other hand side, what we are also working on together with Mondyke is the reverse simulation. Reverse simulation means you take the data acquired from the real world, feed them back into the simulation of the sensors, and then you go to, you try to do wave field focusing with the simulation to figure out where it is coming from. Plus, with this wave field focusing, we also want to build up kind of a database of different failure mechanisms. So to say, okay, this is more or less a wire break, this is maybe some other source, to make the analysis of this data much more reliable and easier to interpret, and that should finally also save costs at the operator side. Well, that was a short, let's say, intro into our project. If you scan the QR code, you can go to the webpage of this project. And if you have questions, you're welcome to ask me or Stefan Piskowitz, who is also here, to make the, let's say, deep dive. Thank you.